Nightfall covered Loch Ness in shades of ink-black loneliness, the water glassy and endless beneath a moon that seemed distant and uncaring. Beneath the surface, however, a giant drifted slowly through the cold and silent depths, longing for echoes of companionship in a world that had long since forgotten her. It had been years since tourists flocked eagerly to the shore, years since cameras clicked at the faintest glimpse of her silhouette. Above, there was only the silence of an indifferent night. Slowly, Nessie sank deeper, resigning herself to an existence as empty and forgotten as the loch itself. No Epstein this week.
It's too sad.
Too sad of a moment. No. Knowing that Nessie's out there drowning herself in her loneliness. Just we had to be serious for a second on Red Thread, unfortunately. As uncomfortable as it may seem, we had to pay our respects to that giant long-necked motherfucker out there. Welcome to Red Thread, everyone. This week we're talking about the Loch Ness Monster. After the last few weeks of doing 3.5-hour-long episodes on Ted Kaczynski, we needed a reprieve. We needed a shorter episode. And the cryptid episodes are usually short for some reason, perhaps because there was very little information out there about them. Jordan, hello. How are you doing?
Oh, man. You know what? I'm very, very happy this week.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
That's good.
We're talking about the Loch Ness Monster for a couple of hours. Is there a better time? It's like, is there any cryptid that you want to exist more than that?
Absolutely not. He's like the Nessie Loch Ness Monster is like a childhood dream. It's like this mythical water creature with a long, peaceful neck that's just swimming in a lake out somewhere, not harming anyone. There's no horror stories about how it drags someone under the water or anything like that. It's just a peaceful water beast.
Just a lot of 90s films of that annoying, whiny child style of acting of the kid being like, I know he's out there. And he is every time in the film. And I think that really transferred over to our childhoods and is impressed in my mind to the point that I really can't separate that from reality anymore. That is a documentary in my mind as far as I'm concerned. He has a secret cave and a way out into the ocean.
You can't draw the line between fiction and reality, but only specifically about the Loch Ness Monster.
And I won't. Yeah, I refuse. I'm going as far as to say with this one, Jackson, you've done a very good job of spoiling what little fun and childlike wonder I have left in my mind with this podcast, but you're not doing this is the line. You're not doing it with this.
Well, I'm going to with facts and logic, unfortunately. I'm going to turn you into a husk of a man by the end of this episode. I cannot let you have anything.
What a great title, isn't it? Jackson destroys Jordan's innocence with facts and logic.
And it's about the Loch Ness Monster, yeah. I remember my first like memory of the Loch Ness Monster was my grandmother had a weird like little sculpture of him on her windowsill, and I would always be fascinated by it. I'd be like, what's this? It was like one of the ones with the, like the humps, how Nessie is sometimes portrayed as having multiple humps behind the neck, like some kind of sea dragon.
Oh, okay. So it went as if the windowsill was the water, and it'd be in three different pieces.
Yes. Have you seen the exact same one?
No, but I can imagine it, and I'm very proud of whoever came up with that. That's a really cool. Nice. Exactly. It does. It immediately captures my interest, and I'm 35, let alone what a 6-year-old.
Yeah, that's when it hit me. But I mean, if I was 35 right now and I was in that moment again, I think I'd still be pretty impressed by it. Maybe.
Totally.
Hopefully.
No, there's really nothing that I've ever heard about the Loch Ness Monster that hasn't made me want to watch. Even those really bad History Channel documentaries with the terrible graphics, the PlayStation 1 graphics. I'm all in. I'm really happy that comes out on a 2 p.m. on a Saturday. That's my weekend sorted. Huh?
You got to agree with this. This might be controversial to our audience, but Loch Ness Monster, way cooler, way more interesting than Bigfoot.
Easily. Because what is Bigfoot at the end of the day?
Giant ape.
Another great ape? Yeah.
Yeah, who cares?
Exactly. Who cares? Really?
Yeah.
What is it even that shocking if they discover it?
No. I mean, who cares? It's just an ape.
It's just an ape.
Loch Ness Monster is a fucking, I don't know, a plesiosaur from 150 million years ago, perhaps?
Wouldn't it be incredible?
Wish.
It's so strange because there's nothing more that terrifies me is the idea
water.
of swimming around and something with a long neck, even brushing past my leg. That freaks me out more than anything. I have a deep set fear of sea monsters. That's my version of being scared of spiders.
Yeah, but it's already been well established that you're an enormous pussy. So that's completely fair and valid.
I know. Scared of something that literally hasn't existed for 150 million years. It's pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
It's quite
Coward.
pussy, it is.
No, it is. It's just, if I knew that, if I suspected the Loch Ness Monster was out there, it wouldn't stop me from going out there and swimming around, waiting for my inevitable demise.
What?
I mean,
what are you talking about?
Why
would you actively go out and seek that death?
Because you'd go down in the history books.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Everyone would know your name.
If you died from Loch Ness Monster, I'm tied to the Loch Ness Monster for the rest of human existence. I may as well have discovered it.
Absolutely. You'd be way more famous than that. A shot of you getting ripped apart by two of them firing it, and you're still alive, screaming.
Yeah, screaming. Oh God, I regret this. Yeah. Please, help. I don't like the Nessie anymore. I regret this immensely. Those are my final words as I'm dragged under.
At the very least, even if it doesn't exist, and I think that if it doesn't exist, it'd be a recent extinction like the Tasmanian tiger or the dodo.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't exist for now, when we perfect the art of cloning, you've got to put it in there. You have to. Even if we just for tourism.
Yeah, like what we're talking about last week with Ted Kaczynski, how like DNA gene splicing and all that stuff. If you remember correctly, I was pretty fervently against that. Unless we can also just create Nessie, just like combine a bunch of DNA to create Nessie, in which case I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah. And they will be able to do it. I mean, they're doing it already with porpoises and dolphins now. They're just splicing them with cows.
Yeah. I mean, we do that with like plants and stuff. Like the basis of it, like crossbreeding and stuff, is kind of similar. Crossbreeding plants to be more fertile or whatever, so we get more food from them.
Oh, I am all for that. I really, whichever scientist or government institution is trying to get every genetic code of everything that currently exists on planet Earth, I think nobody is doing anything more noble with their life than that. And I think that like 50% of that comes back to, I just really want to see woolly mammoths and Loch Ness monsters roam the Earth. That's, I don't know. I
think it's kind of noble to make a podcast like this, honestly. I don't know why you're putting them above us.
Spreading awareness.
We're the heroes.
Spreading awareness
How dare
of cryptoids.
Oh, man.
We are noble.
What if we bring back Nessie? We mass produce Nessie. So there's millions of them now. There's a lot of meat on those bones. What if we just domesticate them and turn them into the new cows? Nessie steak.
I could imagine it would taste like dog shit. It would be a terrible meat, surely.
Well, no, I mean, we're making it. We're putting the DNA together. Put like prime Wagyu beef DNA up in that bitch. And it's going to taste
mix
great.
it with some prawn. Nice. Well, you know what? Pretty much this is it. If it tastes like crocodile, great. And I pity everybody in the United States for never having it.
I've had it. It's disgusting. I mean, it's
what
not
do you
disgusting.
mean it's disgusting?
It's not disgusting. Okay, it's not disgusting, but it is not as good as you're making it sound to be. What the fuck?
You don't like it.
It just tastes like it tastes like a drier, more shitty chicken.
Yeah.
But then again,
all right. Okay, that just means
I may as well just have chicken
Jackson
then.
has a normal human being's taste. That's true. Yeah.
What? You genuinely like it?
Yeah, but that's because this is the other thing. This speaks to my Scottish roots, Loch Ness Monster, and as a result of that, I have real Scottish tastes in things, which is.
I don't remember the Scottish liking eating crocodiles. That's not in my history books. There's also like DNA element.
They must be the only people on planet Earth that like steak well done. They basically just like eating tires. And so crocodile is chicken mixed with tire. That's what it is. He's absolutely right. And that's awesome in my books.
You like steak overcooked, like completely burned.
I'd eat a piece of charcoal if they'd let me.
That is so disgusting, man.
It is. It's terrible. I've got no defense for it at all. Wait, hang on. Before we go on, though, How do you have yours?
Medium rare. I can't go any
Yeah,
lower.
it's the good move.
I mean,
Well,
it's just
hey,
the middle.
who does... Anyone that goes lower than medium rare is more of a freak than someone that gets it well done.
Yeah, I would
putting
agree
foot
with
down.
that. Like if you're eating it like pure rare. Although, what's it called? The fucking stuff that you get at restaurants sometimes. The like the raw meat. It's like tartare or whatever. Tartare.
The French stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty good sometimes. I don't know if that's different or what, but it's nice.
Oh my God, Jackson, really? You go for that, do you?
I'm looking it up now. It is just a dish of raw ground beef, and that sounds disgusting when you type it out like that. But yeah, it's yum sometimes. I don't know.
People do say that. I'm not game to find out.
You haven't tried it?
No. Here's something else that I found out the other day, right? Because this is my big gripe with going to cafes. I always ask for my eggs well done, and I try to explain to the people at the cafe every time what I mean by this, which is I want it flipped, and I want there to be no runniness in the egg, ever.
How many times do you have to ask for the manager because they're not doing your eggs the correct way that you desperately want them to do it?
If I could, infinity times, because they cannot comprehend what I mean.
You sound like a nightmare.
I sit there and eat what they give me, which is, let's say, a rare egg. Usually, it's pretty much just more or less. This is I don't know if this is the same thing in the United States, but pretty much if you ask for fried eggs in Australia, you more or less get the egg that they just crack on bibimbap in Korean food, right?
Yeah.
Like it's barely cooked, and that's what you get every time. And I hate that. But I hate being a nuisance to cafe workers so much that I'll just sit there and eat something that like makes me sick.
I would never.
I'll do it.
I would never ever ask for like my food to be redone or anything or take it back, please. Never. I would just eat as much as I can or just not eat it and just leave because it's just.
That's the way to do it.
I'm
There
too
you go.
scared of them going back there and like fucking spitting on my food or whatever.
Oh, okay. You're free. Okay, right. That's also something else.
Yeah,
It's a
terrified of
pretty
it.
rational consideration. It's way better than being scared of sea monsters, I'll tell you that. Like,
Yeah, to bring us back to the actual topic of this episode, we spent the 10 minutes of this
talking about eggs.
yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Because I only
Very
mean into
relevant.
what's this got to do with the price of eggs? And the answer is nothing. Back to Nessie.
I think Nessie, the existence of Nessie is driving egg prices up. I think the governments of the world need to look at that, actually.
Well, they do say that he hunts livestock.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a real strain on our ecosystem. All right, so let me start with the beginning. Oh, by the way, everyone listening, official.men for 7-day free trial. If you want to support the show, if you like talking about how you like your eggs done and other such interesting tidbits, support us that way. Official.men, 7-day free trial. We got early access to all of our shows, ad-free access. You can ask us some questions. We're going to be answering members' questions at the end of the episode. Highly recommend you go support us over there if you can. Also, we're on Spotify. Also, there's show notes below that you can read through with sources. That's the same for every episode. On official.men, Jordan, we've just put out our second episode of our Real Regrets series, which is a series where we, Jordan and I and Connor, another friend of ours, all watch bad movies together and rate them. And that latest episode, Jordan, has gone over really well. People love it over there.
Right.
Which means we're going to be doing more, baby.
Yeah, I know.
It was really good. So go check it out.
Why
if you're
can't you
interested in
just
bad movies.
enjoy egg chat? What is wrong with you people? You know? You never want to do what we want.
Hey, I want to do it. I love it. I love watching you suffer. It's a lot of fun.
I'll say this. Look, honestly, it's some bad films. I really don't know what the formula is, but I'm excited to see what it is at the end of the day. But some bad films are extremely enjoyable and some aren't, and I really can't put my finger on why yet.
Well, there's
We will
boring
develop
bad
theories
movies
further.
and there's entertaining bad movies where they actually try.
So
Like,
you think that the real
Honorable-
difference is effort?
Yes. We just watched an episode we just watched a movie called Honorable Men, which is in that episode, which may have been made by a man who just wanted to kiss 16-year-olds on camera as a 45-year-old man who's pretending to be
So good
a
that
cop.
it's called Honorable Men.
Yeah, so awful movie, very cringe, but he definitely put his heart into it, for lack of a better word.
He
Or
did.
turn of phrase.
Really
So go
did.
check that out. Anyway, we're going to talk about Nessie now that we've got that out of the way. So nestled in the Scottish Highlands in a large freshwater loch named Loch Ness after the River Ness that flows in from the north, the loch is home to a variety of aquatic life, the European eel, trout, salmon, and a monster.
Mm.
We've all heard of the Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie as it is more affectionately known as. Nessie is consistently described as a large aquatic animal with a long neck and humps that protrude from the water. Its skin is said to be smooth like a seal, and it swims effortlessly through the water, leaving a V-wake behind it like a beautiful aquatic fighter jet.
Damn.
Why not a boat? Why a fighter jet?
I don't know, but I like the imagery.
Yeah.
It's a bit too poetic and noble for what it's describing, but
No way.
good.
What do you
Give
mean?
it- Exactly. You can't
Nessie-
be poetic enough. Yeah, totally.
Nessie's
He
a
deserves
work
all
of
the
poetry.
respect. And I really don't know why that is. I just really feel like you should be constantly bigging him up.
Are you okay? I always think of Nessie as a girl.
Oh, Nessie is quite a girly name, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, also she's just beautiful from a distance, like women. I don't know what that meant. It sounded better in my head.
So in your mind, when you look at it, there's very little difference between this sea serpent and the Venus
that's not
de
what I
Milo.
said. I said they're both beautiful. That's not what I said. I didn't say they looked similar. I just they're graceful. How they
Graceful, elegant. It is quite elegant. You're right. It should be a woman.
That's what I mean.
It should be.
Nessie's a woman. Nessie's a woman.
Nessie's a woman.
So the story of the monster, of the woman. The story of the monster.
This elegant lady that Jackson may or may not be sexually aroused by.
I'm getting uncomfortable here. All these pictures of Nessie in her natural habitat. The stories of the monster as we know it go back to 1934 when the now famous picture began to make waves around the world. But theories of what lurks beneath the rippling water go back even further back into the annals of time. Let's go back to the beginning in 565 AD.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. To take a look at a man named Saint Columba. Columba was an Irish monk and missionary who played a pretty key part in converting Scotland to Christianity in the 6th century. So pour one out for my boy. Yeah, converted those heathens over to the light. Thank you, Columba. I'm not religious, by the way. Columba at the time was traveling through Scotland in 656 when he came across the River Ness. While traveling the local area, he met a group of men who were in active process of burying a deceased friend of theirs. Curious, Columba asked what had happened to their ill-fated friend. When the group revealed that the man had a deadly encounter with a ferocious water beast in the nearby water, Columba became enamored with the idea of the ferocious beast. Columba decided to help the group with him wanting to see the creature for himself, so he sent a follower of his out into the water in an attempt to swim across. What a good friend.
As bait.
Yeah, I thought Christianity, they were meant to be bros and stuff. If this guy's like a saint
That's
or whatever.
incredible. Is it such a brutal time that Christianity was the civilizing force of nature? That far out. Imagine that. And also just the fact that you could do that in that day and age and people would blindly, yeah, okay.
Yeah, God said so I may as well wade out into this lake and let a giant
Swim out
monster
there.
eat me.
I'd be annoyed just how fucking cold it must have been as well.
True, yeah. Scotland is pretty cold.
Yeah, dude.
So he sent this person out to swim across the loch. Before long, the water beast showed itself to the group, and it rapidly swam towards the bait. Columba stood tall at the wake of the water, made the cross symbol with his arms, and yelled, "Go no further! Do not touch the man! Go back at once!" And so, fearing the Lord's wrath, the monster obeyed, turning tail and swimming away. This encounter was recorded by Columba's biographer, Adamnan. That's a fucking annoying name. Adamnan. In the book The Life of Saint Columba. Adamnan was an abbot of Iona Abbey between 679 and 704, as well as a saint himself. And this is the quote from the chapter 28 from The Life of Saint Columba. Quote, He saw some of the inhabitants burying an unfortunate man who, according to the account of those who were burying him, was a short time before seized as he was swimming and bitten most severely by a monster that lived in the water. His wretched body was, though too late, taken out with a hook by those who came to his assistance in a boat. The monster, which so far from being satiated, was only roused for more prey, was lying at the bottom of the stream, and when it felt the water disturbed above by the man swimming, suddenly rushed out, and giving an awful roar, darted after him with its mouth wide open, as the man swam in the middle of the stream. Then the blessed man, observing this, raised his holy hand, while all the rest, brethren as well as strangers, were stupefied with terror, and invoking the name of God, formed the saving sign of the cross in the air, and commanded the ferocious monster, saying, "Thou shalt go no further, nor touch the man. Go back with all speed." Then at the voice of the saint, the monster was terrified and fled more quickly than if it had been pulled back with ropes. God, it's such a cool time where people actually believe this.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
I love this.
And also the fact that the Loch Ness Monster could understand English. It seems to have been lost in later years.
Nessie's a very religious person.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, fuck, this is a sin. My bad.
Well, back on the water. Yeah, I really... Did people think that animals understood what was... They must have, right? Because they used to do things like put elephants on trial. So,
wait, they did? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Pigs. Pigs have been hanged to death for killing kids or something.
Why?
That's happened, yeah. Because they knew what they were doing.
That'll teach them.
And they were punished.
Okay, well, why hanging? Just kill them. Like you do when you harvest them for meat anyway.
Yeah, I don't know why they got a public execution with a bunch of British peasants spitting on them and throwing tomatoes.
It's to like teach all the other pigs in the attendance that they can't commit crimes.
I think so. I honestly think that's what's... Is that... Oh my God. Is that what they're saying that the water beast looked like? It is just a pig. It's a sea.
Yeah, this picture. So there's a picture on screen right now of a diagram from the book of the water beast. I don't know what the fuck it is. It looks like a bear. I would say a bear with a long tail walking through the water, attacking a guy in a boat. Well, realistically, what could this be? Because the loch doesn't really have the ecosystem to support predators from what I've read.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, there's no kind of like food sources there that a predator. It's too small of an environment for a predator to exist in.
Is there seals?
I think they've been known to visit the area, but I don't think they make it their habitat.
Their go-to.
Yeah.
No dolphins, no nothing.
No, nothing like that. We'll get into that later on. For the next 900 years, Nessie remained out of sight until his next sighting in what is presumed to be 1520. We don't have any clear evidence or writings on who saw the monster or what it looked like, but there are reports that the monster was spotted around this time. Details are very sparse, but it seems to go back to the story of Fraser of Glenvackie, who is said to have slayed the last Scottish dragon. Fuck, it's such a cool time where that's an actual thing.
Mm.
Obviously
and
not
celebrated for it as well.
Yeah. I want to be called like the Fraser of Glenvackie. When did we stop naming ourselves after the place we came from?
I don't know.
I guess you have to do something really cool.
Shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even if you do something really cool from now on, like they don't say like Shane Warne of Melbourne.
Yeah. No. We need to bring that back. Some kind of prestige so that people can aim for something. I don't feel like doing anything impactful with my life if I don't get a cool name like that or knighted.
Yeah, I know. And what is the version of that now? I guess putting doctor at the front of your name.
Yeah, I guess, but it's
just nowhere near as grand,
easy.
Is it?
Yeah,
it seems easy too.
I can just do that right now.
That guy had to wipe out an entire species
of dragons.
And
then he was named after a place I've never heard of.
Huh?
And then he was named after a place I've never heard of in my life.
Yeah, and both of them sound epic regardless, don't they?
Yeah, it's cool. It's like medieval. It's like what you would read in like a Knights of the Round Table kind of vibe.
Yeah, so much better. Jackson of Queensland. No, that's
dude.
you can't do it. You can't do it in Australia. What about America? Could you do that?
Wait, no, what?
Margaret of Mississippi. Huh?
Jackson of Queensland sounds awesome. That sounds fucking incredible. Does it not?
To me, it sounds post-apocalyptic. It sounds like you're a warlord in Mad Max.
Yeah, way cooler. You're just making it
It
cooler
is
every
cooler
time
than-
you speak.
Yeah, okay, it's cooler than you're just being called Jackson. I'll give you that.
Jordan
But
of
it's-
Sydney.
It doesn't have the same medieval.
Could there only be one person from Sydney that gets that designation, though? Because you would have to amount to something special to be Sydney.
I think that you can probably just go through the rounds of names before you start getting problems with that, though, right?
Yeah, maybe. True.
So you could have like a Charisse of Sydney and things. And that'd be fine, wouldn't it? But they just, no, it doesn't sound right. It needs to be something like that. It needs to be something like Malcolm of Erlington.
Yes.
It needs to be a ye old name. It has to.
Only something the British can get away with, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There are other recorded sightings with little to no information that we can give beyond just the mention of the sighting. There was one in 1694 and a few during the 1700s, but the sightings of Nessie as we know her really began to ramp up in the 1800s and 1900s.
Damn.
So we come to chapter 2, a flurry of sightings. It would be impossible for us to go through all of the Loch Ness Monster sightings. E-News reported in March of this year that there have been approximately 1,160 Nessie sightings in total. So we will instead highlight some of the more major and noteworthy ones. Also, to set expectations realistically, Nessie is still a cryptid, and therefore some of these sightings don't have a lot of information around them and are instead quick mentions in books or resources or are very clearly made up. But we've tried to avoid any that are very clearly just some drunk guy being like, yeah, I saw it. I saw it out there when I was
what is that,
walking around.
1,000 of them, is it?
Yeah, it's probably a lot of them. I mean, once like a cryptid hits the mainstream, everyone just wants to see, pretend like they've seen it. So very quickly starts to become biased. So 1802. A farmer by the name of Alexander MacDonald spread word that he saw a stubby-legged animal on the shore of the loch about 50 yards from where he stood. This isn't widely reported in common sightings, that being like the beached aspect of this. Seemingly, the details have gotten a bit lost in translation, with Wikipedia noting that MacDonald saw Nessie in 1888, but certain sources say it was actually over 80 years earlier. The sighting was apparently recalled by a man named Alex Campbell in 1933 and was written in the Mammoth Encyclopedia of Unsolved Mysteries. Regardless, the fact that Nessie was beached here is notable. And then in the 1870s, a diver by the name of Duncan MacDonald went down the depths of Loch Ness to investigate a sunken ship at Fort Augustus. He wasn't down there long before he began to send urgent signals up the line, frantic tugging, begging to be pulled back up.
Oh, take me back. Old school diving suits are so much better than ours.
I mean, you were just complaining about how scary underwater is.
I'm not going to do it, but all power to anybody that does.
You just think it's cooler, like the giant mechanical suits where like they're attached by a wire?
You don't like that?
No, I think it is cool. There's like some element. It's like what's his name? The French guy who wrote 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
Jules Vernon. Jules Vernon? What the fuck was his name?
It's pretty incredible that they did have that technology. But I didn't realize that it is the 1800s. And you can go underwater.
We had a few comments on a previous episode from, I think it was the French one that we did about not the French one, the German one, Caspar Hauser, the boy with the mysterious past. Because we were pretending like the 1800s was some like medieval peasants village or whatever. And people were like, no, it was the 1800s. It was fine. But
it was fine.
Yeah, there was still, people were saying that there was no shit on the streets. Historically, like there are sources out there.
There's got to be shit on the streets.
Yeah, there was still, plumbing wasn't that common in the 1800s, early 1800s. It wasn't.
Wait, so people were saying that the 1800s was awesome and a futuristic wonder world? Or
not futuristic. They were just saying that we went over the top and describing it as some kind of like feudal village, basically, which I don't think we did, but whatever.
Well, now that I am thinking about it, the fact is that if you've got things like this that do just look quite steampunky,
yeah,
maybe it wasn't that technologically unadvanced.
No, well, it depends geographically as well. Like the world, like the technology in 1800s England was probably pretty different to like some German, more rural village or town, for example. Like because it's all technology that has just come into existence, basically. Like it's very, very fresh. So
yeah.
It takes time for it to adopt in other regions and such.
And so they pretty much designed it for salvaging old shipwrecks, I'm guessing.
I would assume so, yeah. Because that's what they were doing here. And there were probably a lot of shipwrecks at the time.
Well, it's honestly, that is the most impressive piece of technology in my mind. Old school diving suit.
Being able to like breathe underwater, yeah.
Being able to breathe underwater with like the 4 guys at the top pumping with those old school hinky. It's great. It's charming.
All right. So anyway, he was down there begging to be pulled back up, tugging on that wire. What he saw shook him down in those depths. It shook him and he was unable to talk about it for days until he could compose himself when he revealed it was a very odd looking beastie, like a huge frog. Could it be Frogman? Is he back? He dived into that river over in the Americas and floated all the way over to the Scotland Loch Ness.
I mean, his only superpower is jumping, so maybe.
He had seen it near the wreck on a rock ledge and was so scared by this sighting that he never dives in Loch Ness ever again. There's no written evidence of this event from the time, as the story was passed down orally for many years until it was written in the 1934 edition of the Northern Chronicle. Quote, "It stared at him, but as it showed neither ferocity nor fear, he did not disturb it. In his own words, he saw that the beast made no effort to interfere with him, and I did not interfere with it. As to size, the diver said the creature was as big as a goat or a good wedder, which is a Scott dialect word for a castrated male sheep. The story exactly as given was told by Mr. Donald Fraser, lock keeper, Fort Augustus, who often heard the diver, who was his own granduncle, tell it many years ago." So that's a pretty interesting sighting.
I like that one a lot, especially because it would have been so terrifying being in one of those diving suits with the one little pipe of oxygen going down. And what happens if that's it? Like, there's no way that you're getting out of it. You're not Mission Impossible-ing it, are you? That's it.
No,
and so
I mean, you mean if like the cable breaks or something?
Out. Yeah, it would be dark as down there. Do they have torches even? You probably just took down a candle with whale fat and it immediately extinguished on...
Maybe if it's enclosed in glass. No, wait, then it would suffocate. Yeah, how would that work?
I would imagine that man has every right to be terrified, more so than anyone that has ever lived. That is a very scary scenario to be in. And so obviously, if a seal goes past or something, go on.
Yeah, and if anything goes past, like it would just be a shadow, basically, I would assume, unless he did have lights. So it would be pretty scary. I don't know how deep the loch is, but it would have to be at least fairly deep.
Yeah.
1933, Nessie really made herself known, at least in terms of how we know her today in popular culture, in the year of 1933, making a rather notable appearance that quickly began to spread in the media. On the 14th of April, Aldi McKay was driving by Loch Ness with her husband when she glanced at the water. She yelled out to her husband, "Stop! The beast!" as she saw a black creature with water dripping off it swimming around in circles. The couple went to the newspaper with what they saw, and the story was published in the following month on May 2nd. Only weeks later, on the 22nd of July, Nessie was spotted again. This time, however, she was spotted on land. George Spicer and his wife were on holiday in Scotland when they were making their journey home. Driving along a nearby road at around 4 p.m., they suddenly noticed something around 200 meters in front of them. First, they spotted what was almost appeared to be the creature's trunk, before they then noticed its large body, which they described as being over 20 feet long. They slowed the car down to a crawl as they watched in horror and fascination as it lurched across the road and disappeared into a bush towards the loch, leaving flattened vegetation and grass in its wake. A letter written by George was published in the Inverness Courier on the 4th of August. In it, he provided a possible explanation to the readers where he suggested that it could have been a big otter. And this is... I mean, it could have been. How big would an otter need to get?
I don't think that they can get it.
Maybe it was a group of otters that had
is
combined.
A giant sea otter even that big?
No, I don't think so. They're like maybe the size of cats usually, aren't they?
Yeah.
And Nessie is always portrayed to be like the size of at least like a bear.
I mean, look, yeah, it's like 26 kilograms is the... Okay, but it's hilarious that they're sitting there and saying that. Whoa, actually, no. Okay, it gets 6 feet long. There you go.
Wait, the otters do?
Giant otters can get 6 feet long. Damn. All right, I stand corrected.
Fuck.
Completely wrong part of the planet, though. So that rules that out.
Yeah, where are the giant otters from?
They're South American.
Oh, but yeah, that's a bit of a distance. They'd have to swim over an entire ocean to get there, but I've seen stranger things. Perhaps they could have.
All right, these ones get like 90 centimeters at best. Go on.
The ones in England.
The ones in England.
Okay. So this letter is from George Spicer. He says, "Dear Sir, I have just returned from a motoring home in Scotland and am writing to inform you that on Saturday afternoon, 22nd of July last, whilst travelling along the east side of Loch Ness between Doris and Foyer's Hotel, about halfway, in fact, I saw the nearest approach to a dragon or prehistoric animal that I have ever seen in my life. It crossed my road about 50 yards ahead and appeared to be carrying a small lamb or animal of some kind. It seemed to have a long neck which moved up and down in the manner of a scenic railway, and the body was fairly big, with a high back, but if there were any feet, they must have been of the web kind. And as for a tail, I cannot say, as it moved so rapidly, and when we got to the spot it had probably disappeared into the loch. Length from 6 feet to 8 feet and very ugly. I am wondering if you can give me any information about it, and am enclosing a stamped addressed envelope, anticipating your kind reply. Whatever it is, and it may be a land and water animal, I think it should be destroyed. As I'm sure. Well, jeez, George, calm down. He didn't even do anything to you. He just ran off into the water. You're like, he must be destroyed. No evidence should remain of this weird creature.
I do really like reading ye old letters, and the words that they use. Yes, we still use them, but just never in that context. When do you ever describe something being killed as destroyed? Yeah.
Completely obliterated. I also love the it moved up and down in the manner of a scenic railway.
Hey, that is still used by you, Jackson. That type of imagery is very akin to, and I quote, Christ, where is it? Like a beautiful aquatic fighter jet.
True, never mind.
It's still there.
Me and George Spicer aren't so different after all.
Yeah, you use destroyed pretty much to in the phrase of like demolishing arguments. That's it.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's got like a T kind of connotation now.
Doesn't it?
You just got destroyed, yeah.
There's nothing ironic about the George's use of it. Go on, sorry.
I was going to say it's also used in a sexual way a lot of the time.
Yeah, true.
But never in this way. Never in the way of eradicating a endangered creature that you've only just seen for the first time and has acted entirely peaceful towards you.
It's just so strange for us to think like that now, isn't it? No human being. I honestly think you would be really hard stretched to find anyone of the 9 billion people that exist today that think, yes, a species should be wiped out. There'd be people that wouldn't care. But do you think that there's people out there that are thinking, no, it needs to be taken out?
I've seen people who absolutely believe. Well, I mean, what about like wasps? People believe that they should be destroyed.
Why?
Cockroaches.
Why would you think that cockroaches need to be destroyed? Cockroaches are basically just free garbage cleaners.
What? No, they're not. They're there if you've got garbage. No, they're just there if you've got garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really talking about my living conditions here.
I don't ever want to visit your house if that's your idea of cleaning.
Why, they're just nature's garbage, man.
As your house gets progressively dirtier and dirtier. Fuck.
Isn't that the whole thing, though? Like, New York would be... Its garbage problem would just be so much more unmanageable if cockroaches and rats didn't exist. It's creating this circle of life ecosystem. Huh?
No, I think they exist because the garbage is there, and then they like enjoy it, and they hang around
And
they just hang around the
enjoy it.
garbage. Yeah, I don't think they're like trying to fix the garbage problem. They're not like little garbage fairies or anything like that.
Yeah, but no animal is garbage fairy. That's a great name. If you want to rejig the image of cockroaches, garbage fairy is a pretty good way to go. I like it. It's up there with bin chicken.
Yeah, bin chicken's good. All right, so I think it should be destroyed, as I am not sure whether had I been quite close to it, I should have cared to have tackled it. What? It is difficult to give a better description, as it moved so swiftly, and the whole thing was so sudden. There is no doubt that it exists. Yours,
etc.
Yeah, what? Etc. Yours, etc.
Yours, etc. Is he just saying like I can't be bothered to go with all the formalities of the early 20th century to finish? Yeah, you get it. I'm being polite.
You get it. Yours, George Spicer. The legend of Nessie grew rapidly across the world, and journalists were being sent to the loch en masse to investigate these bizarre sightings. The circus offered up a $20,000 pound reward if anyone caught the monster. George Spicer was interviewed later in December of that year by Daily Sketch, where he stood behind his claims vehemently. The story even made it into the London Times, which brought even more attention to the creature. And this article is called "It Haunts Me Still." The only man who can claim to have seen this monster on land is Mr. George Spicer, a director of Messrs. Todhouse, Reynard & Co. of Davy Street, London. It was on July 22nd, Mr. Spicer told the Daily Sketch last night. About 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was motoring with my wife about midway between Doris and Foyers on the loch side when my wife exclaimed, "What on earth is that?" I was looking ahead, and as my wife spoke, I observed the most extraordinary form of an animal move across the road. I am willing to take any oath, I'm willing to make any affidavit, and so is my wife, that we saw the Loch Ness beast. It seems futile to describe it because it is nothing like anything I have read about or seen. It was terrible. Its color, so far as the body is concerned, could only be called a dark elephant grey. Its movement must have been rapid, although to us it seemed cumbrous because of its bulk. It had come out of the bracken on the hillside. I saw no tail, nor did I notice any mouth on what I took to be the head of the creature. On the other hand, my wife drew attention to something on the back of the monster that looked like a deer, but if that were so, it would suggest the creature's mouth was somewhere about the bulk of its body.
What?
That's like a Lovecraftian horror then, if it had its mouth on its torso.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I was traveling at about 20 miles an hour and in my excitement accelerated, but although the creature could not have been more than some 200 yards ahead, it had vanished before we reached the spot. It may seem strange that I heard no splash as the animal took to the water. It must have done so, for when I reached the part of the road it had crossed, I stopped, but there were no signs of it. My wife and I looked at each other in amazement, and it had been a loathsome sight. Why do they hate it so much? Calm down. I can't imagine seeing something else that so incredible that and then like, Jesus Christ, I want that thing dead. Unless it was a giant cockroach.
These words, wretched, loathsome.
Yeah, calm down.
Hideous. They use that a lot, don't they?
Yeah, especially if it's just an oversized otter.
Yeah, is that loathsome?
Yeah. I mean, okay, if it...
I guess if it's an extremely large otter, it would be kind of creepy.
If it was an enormously large otter with its mouth on its torso dragging away like a deer carcass, then maybe.
What do you mean, maybe?
Yeah, okay, absolutely.
If it has a face on its stomach, you can describe it as loathsome.
At that point, I might agree with saying it should be destroyed. Send in the army.
Hey man, actually, yeah. On further inspection, when he is given ample space to clarify what he meant, I'm telling you, this letter is the apology podcast of its time, isn't it? It's really.
You want more information? You couldn't handle this much information. You're gonna regret it when you find out that it had a mouth on its face.
Totally.
Torso.
Yeah. Completely agree with his first recommendation. I'm in Jackson's camp as well. We've all changed our minds.
Destroy it. Destroy that.
This is what. Yes.
Send in the news.
This is what dialogue is all about. Yeah.
If there's a 10% chance that thing exists, it's too high of a chance. Send in the military jets. Bomb Loch Ness.
Yeah, and why we say this? Because it's ugly at the end of the day.
No, I mean, it really
hasn't done anything still. Huh?
It had a mouth on its torso.
Oh, so it's not even a face. It's just a mouth.
I mean, that's how it's described, yeah. I'm imagining like a giant mouth on its chest, and that's nuke-worthy in my opinion.
Imagine. Yeah, it does freak me out. You're right. Yeah, no good.
Where was I? Yeah, okay, so it had been a loathsome sight. To see that arched neck of the creature, each arc as high as its body, straggle across was something which still haunts us. We continued on our way. We met a roadman. When I told him I had just seen the monster, he was astounded. Not frightened, just incredulous. When we reached foyers, I again told of what we had seen, only to be laughed at. I also reported the affair to certain scientific bodies, all of whom seem to have been incredulous, but I believe one expert is sufficiently interested to be still keeping a watch on Loch Ness. So George's description of Nessie went on to be the base of the first sketch of the creature from the book The Loch Ness Monster and Others.
And others.
What others are in that book?
This is sick. A real-life Care of Magical Creatures book. Fucking awesome.
Real life is way more interesting than anything J.K. Rowling could come up with.
Yeah, and also I completely agree with our audience as well. The 1800s was a better time. It's so much better thinking that these things... It's like, you know, the Loch Ness Monster is just one of the magical creatures that exists in Scotland.
Yeah, and others. There's a whole group of magical creatures out there just waiting to be discovered.
If there is places where magical creatures would exist, don't you
It'd
think
be Scotland,
that it's always...
the Highlands.
Exactly. A Scotland, a Norway. I'll go as far as a New Zealand. But somewhere that's sort of on the peripheries of the earth that's quite foresty and... Yeah, it's a perfect setting. Beautiful.
Yep. So this book was by Robert Gould in 1934. While there is no photo, video, or other evidence from the encounter, it is definitely one of the most famous sightings that brought with it a lot of traction to the loch and the possible monster lurking within it. And then we have a picture here, which is the sketch of Nessie. I don't know what I'm looking at.
Is that supposed to be like a gallbladder?
Yeah, it's like a...
It's a sperm.
It's like a giant bloated tapeworm.
What? Dude, that's an art installation.
What is it? What
know.
is that? What is it trying to tell us?
Seriously. Oh, okay. All right. Now that they've done the outline drawing of it, that's what they're saying it is. Okay. Yeah. I get it.
Wait, what do you mean?
I think it's picture 6. It says it's about 4 feet high. It's really just showing that it is a Loch Ness Monster. That's all it's showing.
Yeah, but this original little sketch above the source of Nessie with the squiggly line on the road, looking like it's from a medieval book. It doesn't look like a creature at all. Looks like nothing.
The back is the tail, and then the front is the head, and then the middle blob is the body. Does that make sense?
Are we looking at the same picture?
Yeah, I think so.
It says 5 in the top left corner.
Oh, yeah. No. Okay, so now we're back to the real mystery one. The raised sperm.
Yeah.
I could still sort of see it, though.
I can't.
It's honestly a bit like, just look at picture, the one directly after that.
Okay.
And it makes sense. It's honestly like someone pointing out that a cloud looks like Daryl Summers or something.
All right, we'll get that.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
So, and of course, we have to talk about the infamous photo of Nessie by Hugh Gray, which was said to be the first picture ever taken of the Loch Ness Monster. It was the 12th of November in 1933. Hugh had just been to church and was taking a walk by the river and the respective loch. Hugh was looking at the water in the bright reflective sunshine when he noticed something very large rising out of the water. He instinctively got his camera out and took a picture of what he was seeing. He couldn't see the creature's head, but he could make out what looked like a tail cascading under the water. It only showed itself for a couple of minutes before disappearing into the depths. The picture is pretty blurry and hard to make out, which could be attributed to the sun's reflection and the spraying of water around the creature. The image was inspected by experts at the Scottish newspaper Daily Record, who deemed the photo unedited or tampered with. And so this is the pictures that you're talking about.
Mm.
So it's just a bunch of like sea foam, sea spray. You really can't see anything in this, in my opinion. Maybe the tail on the left.
Yeah, like okay, flipper. Yeah.
Maybe, but the rest is just like actual mist.
It's really not the best photo of the Loch Ness Monster.
Until you put an outline on it. So the image is debated in modern circles, however, with many suggesting what they think the image could instead be A dog with a stick in its mouth, a swan, an eel, a wave, or even a normal mundane item used to create the illusion of a monster. In later decades, the photo was reprinted from the negative to create a clearer, more detailed image that was easier to analyze. In this image, you can see that whatever is in the photo does not appear to be any of those things. In an interesting deep dive on the Loch Ness Mystery blog, an image was created showing the potential outline through the fog, which is this picture now up on screen. Yeah, I guess you could draw whatever you want in that area. Like it's the general shape is there, I suppose. Still,
are you looking at the picture that sort of looks like I don't know, maybe a porpoise or something going up for air? Are you looking at that one?
No.
Okay, yeah, I'm just looking at other pictures here, but that one doesn't look. That kind of explains it as well. I can also see just a dog.
I'm on page 8, like the picture of the outline.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture of the outline as well.
Okay. So what do you see?
Can I put this here? Well, I just went on and clicked on the source, and then you can see a bunch of other interpretations of what it might be.
Oh, okay. Let me have a look.
And God, the most likely ones are dog with stick, which is incredible. I can't believe that you can make that look like a monster with shitty old black and white photos.
I can't believe there's an enormous article here analyzing every possible thing that it could be. I love the internet. Yeah, so the people believe that it could be a dog holding a stick. That's about it. Interesting. I can't see anything in it. It just looks like a spray of water from like maybe he threw a rock in the water or something.
All right, I'm going to check if there is porpoises in the Loch Ness, because it really could be that. Huh?
There isn't.
How do you know? Why are you such an expert on aquatic life? It's giving me the shits. Because I always fancied myself as quite the like amateur marine biologist, and you just know by osmosis way more than I do. You've
we'll find
thoroughly
out.
Disproven my view of the world many, many times. It's I'm the French guy and you're Charles Darwin.
I made it up. It was a gut feeling. I don't know for sure. Check.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very different then. Let me just
I just think to get to the Loch Ness, they would have to pass like tiny little rivers that lead to the ocean that go through like towns and stuff. I just do not see
is it little like quaint streams, is it?
Yeah. Well,
so there's no mighty rivers flowing into it?
I don't think so. Just the River Ness.
Damn it. He's right again.
Did you look it up?
Yes.
No porpoises.
And I guess there's no dolphins either, is there?
No, unfortunately.
You are such a cunt, Jackson. You really are. I can't believe it. You were absolutely dead right.
What?
I don't know. I was just reading it and they immediately just said, think about it. How is it going to get there?
It walks. It's like that old Simpsons joke. Remember when Moe's like transporting a whale?
Yeah, all right, they're onto it. Just get it back to SeaWorld.
Hide him out in the loch.
Oh my God. He's right about everything.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. You're giving me way too much credit. No, because now the audience is going to be like, no, he's wrong about X, Y, and Z.
Jackson might be wrong on life decisions, general philosophy, just generally wrong on his approach to existing, right? But like in terms of his biology knowledge, you can't fault the man.
No,
you
not even that.
Fault him.
This has got like different biology. It was also just like logical, like how would it get there? It's just basic stuff. Basic stuff I could kind of sometimes feel out and guess correctly.
Yeah, all right, I'll play that. You do definitely have that sort of mind. I, on the other hand, cannot win Connect 4. So
that's why we make such a good team.
Well, it's true. You're very good at it. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, yeah, all right. So you're just using year 4 maths more or less.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Connect 4 logic.
Yeah, fair enough. Now go on with your go on. Keep talking about how unlikely the Loch Ness Monster is, Jackson. We're all dying.
Yeah, and then we'll get to your point where actually it's undeniable that the Loch Ness Monster exists because I want it to exist.
Oh, sick. Okay, I was not expecting that twist.
I was joking. On the 5th of January, Arthur Grant was driving his motorcycle at 1 a.m. when he nearly hit a strange creature at the northeastern area around the loch. In the moonlight, Arthur was able to see what was in front of him. A smallish head attached to a very long neck, large flippers, and a long tail. The creature, described as a hybrid between a seal and a plesiosaur, quickly made its way back into the water as it was scared by the roar of the motorbike. See, that's always the description that I more commonly know it as.
A seal and a plesiosaur.
Yeah, that combination. Instead of like a large otter that looks like a worm with a giant mouth on its torso.
I mean, look, okay, the mouth on the torso thing is very left of field, but other than that, you can sort of see somebody could mistake it as an eel otter.
Yeah, man.
So that's fine. I'll let that one pass. Earlier descriptions. The one that I won't let pass is the earliest description where it's described sort of as like a bear with coral on its nose.
Yeah, the one from literally 500 AD.
Yes.
By a saint.
Yeah, that unlike human beings, didn't need any conversion to the Bible. Was strictly adherent to it before. I don't know how it got its flippers on scripture, but here we are. Yeah.
So Arthur followed it, however, hoping for another look, but it had already disappeared. Arthur did sketch what he believed he saw that night, and some experts believe his sketch and experience bring to mind a creature similar to an otter or a seal, while others cast doubt onto his story given it was at 1 a.m. at night and it would have been very likely difficult to spot a creature in such detail. And so we have the picture here, very cute looking Nessie. One of my favorite depictions of Nessie. Big fan of this one. In 1934, however, the most famous photograph of the Loch Ness Monster appeared. This image is known as the surgeon's photograph, which is very ominous. Robert Kenneth Wilson was a general surgeon and gynecologist from London who travelled to Scotland with a friend, Maurice Chambers. The two were on a shooting and fishing trip when they took a break next to the loch, where they then noticed something strange occurring in the water. Maurice yelled, "My God, it's the monster!" And Robert went to retrieve his camera, making it back in time to capture the famous image.
Nice.
Yeah, very proactive.
Yeah.
When there's said to be a giant monster appearing nearby, I always instinctively go for my camera in that situation. 100%. Yeah. I don't run away with like a scared little baby.
It's so much better than everybody else's immediate instinct.
Yeah, which is to piss my pants.
Oh my God, kill it. Yeah.
Oh, well, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone else has, what was that old game again? But like everybody else's immediate instinct is more or less Pokemon, and that guy's instinct is Pokemon Snap. Is that what it's called? What was that old Nintendo?
Stop trying to relate
game?
To people.
It's so bad, isn't it? And like, I can't. No one even knows. I don't know.
Shut up, Grandpa. Stop trying to bring up fucking popular topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Pokemon Snap.
It is Pokemon Snap. Okay,
yeah, you got it. You got it. Very cute that you tried to appeal to our gamer audience. You should just like those Pokemon.
Yeah.
Maurice yelled. Well, actually, here's a reference for you. Loch Ness Monster does kind of remind me of Kyogre from Pokemon Emerald.
Kyogre, Pokemon Emerald, eh?
I think it was a fuck.
What about Lapras? How is it not Lapras?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a way better example. Never mind. You out Pokemoned me. Good job.
Yeah, see? Us old timers have our uses. We've got long memories. So what am I looking for? And don't remember any of the intros. For fuck's sake. Jackson, is a flying whale. Is this what you think of, is it?
Yeah, that one. But no, you're right. Lapras is way more accurate.
Well, this Pokemon's definitely cooler, I'll give you that.
Yeah. Robert went to retrieve his camera, and then he captured the image that we all know to this day. Robert got the few images he captured developed, and the two came back clear as day. It was Nessie. He sold the photo to the Daily Mail, which published the image not long after. There you go. Nessie. I mean, undeniably Nessie. That's a picture right there.
Mm.
There you go. I've given you a freebie.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've seen that photo many, many times in my life.
That's your reward.
How's this my reward?
It's your reward for getting Pokemon trivia correct.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for this highly distinguished award of something that I could easily Google from recollection. I appreciate it, and I accept this award in the humility it deserves.
But
Yeah.
this picture like confirms your theory. I'm fucking giving you a bone. I'm letting you have your moment in the sun where you get to pretend that Nessie's real, and you know, I want you to enjoy it, man.
I will enjoy this in my own time immediately after this. I will tell you this. I'm not taking in any counter theories to this. I'm immediately deleting them from my head after this episode's out.
We can stop the episode here. How about that?
My God. What, the rest of it is just debunking, is it?
Yeah. In 1984, the photo was examined by a man named Stuart Campbell in an article in the British Journal of Photography, where he stated that he believed that whatever was in the image was only around 2 to 3 feet long, under 1 meter. He believed it was an animal, once again, like an otter. But this actually wasn't true. On his deathbed, an artist and sculptor named Christian Sperlin confessed something sinister that he had carried his whole life. Christian confessed that the surgeon's photograph was a fake. A few guys had a toy submarine that they had stuck on a head and neck made out of plastic and wood on top of, where they then staged the sighting. They had decided Robert should be the public representative of the story, assuming that him being a doctor would add credibility to the story.
And that it did.
Yeah, I mean, I take a gynecologist's word.
There is a lot of very credible people over the years that have witnessed this. The guy that converted Scotland, some guy called like Earl of Erlington, and then this cunt. It's incredible, isn't it? It's like not one of these. George seemed like a pretty reasonable dude.
Yeah, but unfortunately...
Another guy that slayed all the dragons of Scotland. There's some pretty heavy hitters in these witness booths, isn't there?
Yeah, it adds a lot of credibility.
Yeah.
So Christian's stepfather was M.A. Wetherell, who was an actor, producer, screenwriter, and also a big game hunter. Wetherell believed in the early 1930s that he saw Nessie footprints after going to the loch to try and see the monster. Casts were made and sent to scientists who concluded that they were just from a hippopotamus foot umbrella stand.
What? What? What are you talking about? What, does it just go on from there? We don't delve into this at all. Just accept this and move on. That's more extraordinary than it being a Loch Ness Monster. What?
Yeah, that's way more confusing.
Yeah.
Why was there a hippopotamus foot umbrella stand out of the loch just walking around?
And more importantly, what is that? And that's it. Well, this is just a common utensil in Scotland, is it?
Well, no, I think it's like an umbrella stand, something that you put at the front of your house where you put all your umbrellas. He was a big game hunter, so he probably fashioned one out of a hippopotamus foot, and then he took that with him to make these fake casts to pretend like they were.
Okay, hang on. I'm sorry, I've got to Google this. Hippopotamus foot umbrella stand.
It's what it says it is.
Oh, fuck me, they exist.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, big game hunters like making trophies out of anything.
Jesus Christ, why would you want that?
Yeah, big game hunters are so fucking tacky with their shit.
They really are, aren't they? Going into their houses is quite horrific.
Yeah.
Just all of these taxidermized animals that makes the house look way more haunted than it should.
Oh, yeah.
You're just the guy from Jumanji. It's not great.
Plus, who wants to walk into a house and see like a I don't know, like a panther's last moments, preserved, the terror in his eyes, the fear, the pain.
Yeah, this helps me unwind. I feel very relaxed in this environment.
Yeah.
And all right, what about this though, Jackson? Guy from Jumanji. Look, I'll say this: the attire, the classic hat that they have, and the bone-colored outfit. That's baller. Great. Yeah, hugely baller. The classic Colonel Mustard mustache, big fan of that. I would say that they are definitely a lot. This is so weird that I'm saying this. It's a lot better in my mind if they also have a bunch of shrunken heads in their house. Not just animals.
No, I'm scared to unpack this. Why?
It makes him seem more like I'm a tourist of the world and I collect all the curios and oddities that I can
Not just
find.
someone who wants to kill animals.
Yeah, I'm just a vicious psychopath. Even though the guy has dead people's heads, and they're so much scarier than the hippopotamus foot umbrella. But it's there's something about it that's just it moves it from I'm American Psycho to I'm the guy that hosted Ripley's Believe It or Not, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like an Indiana Jones slash like museum antiques owner or dealer kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like an explorer as opposed to just a killer.
Oh, God. All right. This is my new theory. The Loch Ness Monster did exist, and one of those African game hunters killed it and has it in a private collection somewhere.
Turned its neck into like a necktie or something. Loch Ness skin suit.
Fuck. Okay, so shrunk his head and made it a tie.
They would too. They would want to.
I'll tell you this. If Scotland ever gains its independence and its head of state becomes the Governor General, it should be mandatory that they have to wear that Loch Ness Monster tie.
Yeah. Should be put into law.
Shouldn't it?
So yeah, the hippopotamus foot umbrella stand, Wetherell was employed by the Daily Mail at the time, who embarrassed and ridiculed him over this mistake. So he wanted revenge, which compelled him to recruit his friends, Sperling, who was a sculpture specialist, not a culture specialist, a sculpture specialist, Ian Wetherell, his son, and Maurice Chambers, an insurance agent. They then printed the photograph and gave them to Wilson to sell to the paper. The public didn't know the image was fake until 1994, though it had been debated and called a hoax beforehand, of course. There was an article printed in a 1975 Sunday Telegraph article that detailed a confession about this article, but this article didn't gain traction until it was republished as a part of a book in 1999 called Nessie, the Surgeon's Photograph Exposed. So there you go. I've ruined your life. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jackson.
I'm sorry your moment where you got to enjoy the Loch Ness Monster photo didn't last for longer than 3 minutes.
It was literally a moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, next time try harder with your Pokemon references and you might get it a little bit longer.
Okay. I think I was the one that came up shockingly with the good Pokemon reference, and I'm getting punished for it. Great.
Well, what did you learn? Never try.
I don't know what I learned. It's one of these like learned helplessness Pavlovian dog experiments. There's no right answer.
Trying to demoralize you.
Yeah, well, that's mission accomplished. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you this as well, though, Jackson. I mean, being quite the Loch Ness Monster connoisseur, i.e. have watched many a shitty documentary about it, I'm quite aware of that. It still doesn't dampen my spirits at all.
Wait, so you were already aware before going into this that picture was a hoax?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
Well, isn't everyone?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, all right.
I didn't know that until researching this.
Well, yes. Oh, so you thought it was a real photo?
No, I didn't think it was a real photo. I just didn't know that there was proof that it was a hoax.
What did you think it was before?
Okay, so look at the photo. I honestly thought it was just a guy in a lake with his hand up and like arched like this. Like it looks like a person's
like
hand reaching out of the water.
Something.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of explained the ripples as well. Because it didn't, like the ripples of the water don't look like the ripples that would be caused by a giant underwater creature.
No, that's actually a very good guess. Really does. Looks like some guy at the Icebergs Club.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Just looks like someone swimming or just sticking their hand up.
Yeah, that's not a bad guess.
But yeah, so, yeah, I mean, but the explanation that they had of a submarine with a stick on the top of it with a little toy boat or whatever, sure. So 1951, the sightings didn't stop here, however, even if the most recent famous sighting would eventually be declared a hoax. A woodsman by the name of Lachlan Stewart got up early on the morning of 14th of July 1951. He lived around Loch Ness with his family. It was a regular morning as he got himself up to go milk his cows. He casually looked out to the loch. Do you think the Loch Ness Monster can be milked?
No, surely not.
Can you milk whales? Yeah, they're mammals. They have to produce milk.
But the Loch Ness Monster wouldn't be a mammal.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Why?
If the Loch Ness Monster existed, and it does, it would be a plesiosaur, surely.
So, a giant reptile.
Giant reptile. Well, that's more your department, though, as our resident dinosaur artist.
Yeah, they're reptiles.
Yeah. And also on top of that, was the plesiosaur a particularly vicious animal, or did it kind of just eat fish?
I mean, we don't know for sure the behavior of plesiosaurs, but it definitely seems like the kind of creature that would have just eaten fish.
And that's it. Okay.
Yeah. Or whatever was fish at the time, obviously.
Yeah. Do you know much about plesiosaurs?
No, not really. Not really a plesiosaur kind of guy.
Because the other question that I would have is, could they handle cold environments? Or was it more of a Great Barrier Reef thing?
There have been there obviously have been fossils of plesiosaurs found in the UK, so I would have to assume, given that it more or less would have been colder. I don't actually. Would it have been colder?
No, because like it doesn't. I don't even know what period of time we're talking about, but there was entire
150
periods of
million
time
years
where the
ago.
entire planet was just Amazon rainforest or desert or so. Who knows?
I do not know.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry to ask that. I was just like, it's just so linked, isn't it? It could be the. I know that we're all talking about something that's obviously not real to begin with, but if it was to be real, it would have to be that, right? Do you think it's some kind of long-necked seal? Do you?
I don't know. So I was just looking it up though. So could plesiosaurs have survived in cold water? Probably not.
Probably not.
That's the answer that it says. Probably not. I don't know if I believe that though.
Okay, all right. I don't know if the Loch Ness freezes over. I'm imagining that it does. But it was saying that they could tolerate cold climates, but not ice temperatures.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be able to inhabit like ice temperatures, but like it depends if they were what's the word I'm looking for? If they were like endothermic, then they could probably regulate their body temperature, which probably could have let them, into colder waters. But if they were cold-blooded, probably not, right?
It's just like, yeah, look, it's, oh my God. Okay, it's got a long time, like hundreds of millions of years to evolve to stand in cold temperature, so that it could do that. But the time that it was around, damn, dude, the climate was so hot that there was no polar ice caps. Didn't exist. Wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So, it's the whole world would have been a bath.
If there are any plesiosaur super fans out there, let us know in the comments, like what if it could have survived in cold temperatures. I'm curious. I don't actually know. He casually looked out to the loch where he then noticed something strange. Lachlan yelled out to a friend who was staying with them at the time, Taylor Hayes, and they both ran down to the water's edge where they saw 3 humps protruding from the water over 100 meters from the shore. Lachlan had grabbed a camera on the way down and snapped a photo. The image was published in the newspaper Sunday Express the following day, and this is the famous humps photo, basically. There's several humps in the water.
Yep.
The image has come out as another possible hoax. A man named Richard Flurry, who wrote a book on the Loch Ness, once met Lachlan Stewart, revealing later in 1988 that he was trusted with the truth. And this is a quote from Richard Flurry on Lachlan Stewart's photo. Dear Mr. Boyd, thank you for your letter concerning Stewart's photograph. As you say, many years have gone by since 1951, but I happen to remember clearly a meeting at Loch Ness Side in the vicinity of the Whitefield Cottage with a man who represented himself as Lachlan Stewart. At the time, I had a timber business and was in need of an additional horse for timber dragging. I had heard that Stewart had such a beast or could put me in touch with one, and our meeting
what?
Has such a beast as a horse.
This is like Dr. Doolittle back in the day can speak to animals. Can put me in touch with one. What is going on? What is that? What were they saying?
Wait, yeah. I had heard that Stewart had such a beast or could put me in touch with the one.
Do people, I don't know, it feels like people back then think that they could have communicated with animals more so than we could. I don't know. Are we reading this correctly?
It's just a business meeting. Like he has to call the horse and set up a time to meet.
Yeah, give him a deal. It's so really strange, isn't it?
It's so funny. Oh, I love this time period.
It's great.
I had heard that Stuart had such a beast or could put me in touch with one, and our meeting was arranged by a third party. I met with Stuart in early August. We discussed the horse, but no bargain was struck, even after the woodsman had obligingly offered a dram from his bottle. Before we parted, he took me down to the pebble beach where, concealed within a clump of alder or hazel, I was shown on my promise of silence 3 or 4 bales of hay as supplied for horses and some strips of tarpaulin. I was told that these were the humps of Nessie. S was proud of his joke, in which he saw no harm, and he was greatly surprised that his photograph had come out at all, as it was taken near dark. I did not inquire at what margin of the day it had been snapped. Stuart considered Nessie a load of nonsense and poked fun at those who took it seriously. From this, you can see that I did not participate in the hoax, although perhaps my silence until recently may be construed as that of an accessory.
Okay. And your point is?
My point is that photo was also a fake.
I mean, this is pretty much just witness testimony to the point that the guy that claims that what he saw may have been an otter or a monster that has a mouth on its stomach. I'm not trusting this guy at all.
No. Why would you? He's giving you no reason to, with these mysterious meetings with creatures. There are multiple reports that detail how Richard Flurry received his information. Different sources on the internet say he got a confession, or he saw the whole hoax being set up, or he saw, all that he saw was discarded props. This particular sighting seems to have gotten messy over the many years, with no clear thread of information remaining, and a lot of assumptions and misreporting made in the excitement. The Loch Ness mystery blog spoke to Lachlan's daughter, who said her dad was the most honest person she knew.
Hell yeah. They always ask the kid, don't they?
Yeah, why?
Of course.
Kid's not going to fucking know. As if. Of course they're going to say that. Oh yeah, he was honest, I swear. And she claimed he wasn't known for practical jokes. When the hoax accusations came out from Richard, she and her family were genuinely shocked.
Really?
How could he do this to us?
How can he do this to us?
It's all we're known for. They didn't even know who Richard was. Lachlan's daughter made a point to ask why Richard would wait until after her father had died to make the accusations.
Mm.
So now we have a hoax accusation potentially itself being a hoax. Does that mean the original picture could be genuine? What do you think?
Why do you think that there's so many sightings of the Loch Ness Monster, and when it comes to everything else, like, I don't know, like the Ottawa sea snake or whatever it's called, everything else is always 1 or 2. But when it comes to the Loch Ness Monster, there's so many.
I think it's because the original sightings, or the sightings that propelled it to popularity, were themselves pictures and stuff. So these sightings, if they are fake, people just go out there and try to emulate pictures. So they have to. You can't just do a Loch Ness sighting and say, yeah, I saw it. I mean, you can, and that's probably a lot of the sightings. But for it to be really noteworthy, you have to try to one-up the previous evidence. So you have to come up with new ways to fake it. It's like if it was in the modern era, well, it is in the modern era, but if it started now, it would be like the Loch Ness challenge on TikTok, and people would go out and try to one-up.
Fake it.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, what were you saying? So the picture, do you think it could be genuine or not?
I like the fact that there is somebody out there batting for it. Let's put it that way. What about you?
Okay.
What do you think?
No. I mean, it's already been a hoax. Every photo so far has been a hoax.
Yeah.
So 1960, a man named Tim Dinsdale, which is like the most very odd parent's name ever. Tim
Sounds like
Dinsdale.
A cheese brand.
Had read a news article a year prior about the Loch Ness Monster. The article captured his attention, and he organized a solo trip to the Loch in April of 1960 to spend 6 days looking for Nessie. I want to go on a Nessie sighting holiday like that. God damn it.
Yeah, me too.
He spent the year prior reading over 100 sighting reports and newspaper articles, concluding that something must live in the loch. He ventured off with a borrowed Bolex Cine camera and began to film and scan the area. The first few days were uneventful. Tim also had a limited amount of film and had to be careful not to run out. On his last day, he spent a couple of hours watching the water, but was dejected when nothing happened. Tim packed up his camera gear, and got back into his car and began to drive back to his hotel when he saw something strange in the corner of his eye. Tim stopped his car and reached for his binoculars to investigate the large object that was still in the middle of the loch, but as he began to focus and get a better look, it began to move in a zigzag pattern. Tim quickly set up his camera, and as the creature went under the water, he almost completely submerged. It sped up to almost 16 kilometers per hour as Tim realized he was running out of film. He stopped it and began to run after the monster, hoping it would resurface and he could get a better video. But to his disappointment, the water calmed, the waves leveled, and the creature was gone. So we're going to play the video right now on screen.
Good. Yes, it's all dated. Nice and official report.
Tim Dinsdale filmed a strange animal swimming in Loch Ness.
Mm.
I just heard about that.
Yes, yes.
At a distance of 1,300 meters, the animal, measured by photographic experts, is 6 feet wide and stands 5 feet above the surface. Can we move on from the PowerPoint presentation? Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay. All right, explain that. What else could it be? God, it looks like it's getting filmed by someone about to do a drone strike.
Yeah, what is that? What is that strange creature in the distance? Not moving around at all, really.
It's quite snaky.
Did it just teleport?
I don't know.
A bird! What could it mean?
Yeah, for the bird. Makes it look a lot smaller, admittedly.
Maybe that's some kind of flying Loch Ness creature.
Now what's happening?
Why is it cutting ahead so far?
Okay. That's okay. Now there's a pig
how
running
long is this
across the. Did you see the pig running across the land? This is taken in infrared, surely. And now it's taking a leisurely
black
lap.
And white.
Mm-hmm.
Where's he going?
Pretty going fast, though. I'll give it that. It looks like a speedboat.
Yeah, it actually is going very fast.
14-foot wooden fishing boat to travel the same path an hour later. Okay.
Oh, okay. It's kind of different, I guess. I mean, yeah, you can kind of clearly see that that's a boat more than you could in the other one, right?
Yeah, but I'll also say this. It does now no distinct propeller wash coming from the boat's outboard motor. To contrast, the object shows no form of automated propulsion. It's got you there.
Yeah.
And does look pretty damn big, dude.
The angle does look different, doesn't it? You can kind of still see the V. The water looks rougher on the left, which might be hiding the wake that the boat creates. I don't know. I mean, it looks so much grainier on the left.
Look at the V on the boat. Look at it.
Yeah, but you can kind of see the V coming out from the left as well at the same time.
Yeah, but there's going to be some V.
Yeah, true.
Got to give it some credit. All right, that does admittedly look a lot more boaty.
Yeah, that looks similar.
Well, I wonder why they come up for air every few decades. What's that all about?
It's lonely down there, as I described in my intro.
Is that what it is? Yeah, very true.
No, I don't know. How much more of this video is a little bit more? Oh, good. We got slow down. That's good. Slow mo. Tim spent the next 27 years searching for the strange creatures which inhabit Loch Ness. That's such a sad existence. I mean, no, it's an awesome existence, actually.
Still
never mind. He passed away before achieving his goal. That is a sad existence.
Wow.
But actually, wait, that makes me think that if he did actually spend the next 27 years going back there trying, maybe he did think that he saw something today.
Yeah, totally.
Or on this day.
I think that, honestly, you would not be spending a quarter of a century trying to add credence to a prank.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he genuinely believed that he saw something. I don't see why he would keep going back.
Are there any explanations for it?
Tim has said that the film was not a good representation of what he saw that day, as it doesn't show the details that his own eyes saw. The video was suddenly a hit with the Loch Ness Monster crowd, but Tim wanted to capture better footage to prove to anyone who doubted him that he was right and they were wrong. Unfortunately, all future trips were unsuccessful, even though he spent 27 years returning to the lake in an attempt to film more amateur Nessie action. In 1966, his original video was analysed by the Joint Air Reconnaissance Intelligence Center of the Royal Air Force Investigations Unit. They deemed the video genuine, and they believed whatever was filmed was most likely some sort of animal, and there was an absence of any evidence that a hoax had been set up.
Sick. Okay. So
that's pretty compelling. All right. Here we go. This might be the actual first evidence of Nessie. However,
all I'm just saying is, okay, all right. Fuck, I hate that word. Go on.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jordan. I'm sorry.
Yep. I'm ready. What is it? Go on. What?
I think it's more conjecture. It's not. There's no proof of this. Okay.
All right. Okay.
However, the video has been looked at countless times over the years, and the validity of the film has been brought into question. The main objection is the fact that the object looks like a boat crossing the loch. Even the V pattern of the waves behind it are consistent with it being a boat. With the quality of the video being so low, it's suddenly hard to really determine specifics, but you certainly can't see any creature-like features. Nothing has come out about this video being a hoax, which brings up the question, did Tim believe that he saw Nessie that night? Possibly yes, considering he spent years after trying to get more proof of the monster. He even received a grant from Kodak in order to receive photography equipment. So there's really no proof that it's not Nessie. That's all I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's all I'm hearing too.
I'm giving you a freebie here. You got to take it and run with it, Jordan.
And so what, they really didn't have any other... Usually they have something more plausible as a theory.
Yeah, other than just
this is kind of just like, it's a boat.
Because if it was a creature, it would also still cause the same V ripple if it was as large as a boat.
That's the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why
it would need
so
to be
big?
It would need to be as large as the boat.
Maybe they're right, and the Loch Ness Monster is not so much a plesiosaur creature, but it is just for some reason like an abnormally large otter species.
I don't know if a giant otter would be able to cause that kind of wake.
But it's just so strange that there's so many sightings of something specifically in the Loch Ness. Yeah, I still can't get over that.
Such a hot spot. But then at the same time, why hasn't it been actually caught or anything? Like, scientists have been out there constantly, and why has it not been caught? Like, it's not that large of an area.
Well, if I was to glean anything from these very misleading documentaries that I watch on Saturdays, I would say that, haven't they said that they've done sonar sweeps of the Loch Ness?
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
And
what? They didn't find any proof of the Loch Ness Monster.
Crap. Okay. I thought they did.
No, nothing.
Not proof of the Loch Ness Monster, but proof of something large in it.
No, nothing.
Fuck.
Yeah,
all right. Go on to your 2007 one.
2007, jumping ahead several decades to when Kodak finally created better photography equipment, 55-year-old Gordon Holmes was viewing Loch Ness when he saw a disturbance in the water on the eastern side. He stopped and tried to get a better look at the dark object, which he described as over 16 meters long, moving in the water at about 10 kilometers per hour in a straight line, leaving water rippling behind it. Biologists who were part of the Loch Ness project haven't declared this creature as being Nessie, but they have commented it's some of the best footage they've seen. It was picked up quickly by the media, which brought it to the attention of other marine biologists who suggested that the object in the video could be an otter or an eel, as is usually their excuse. There is a lack of clear details, making it very difficult to prove if it is a normal animal or something more monstrous. What do you think of this, the GIF?
Ooh, that's nice. You gotta love that.
It's pretty good. It's definitely underwater.
This is very similar to the 1960s footage, but with better camera.
Well, it's underwater. I think it was above water in the 1960s.
Yes. But like that same sort of... In fact, did it go above water for a second? Maybe.
In this GIF? Maybe. Definitely looks rather large. Although it's kind of hard to see the scale, given it might be zoomed in. Yeah, what do you think?
Okay, so what's this? Just a big eel, is it?
That's the idea, yeah. It could be a big eel, I guess. But I don't know. Would eels usually be that close to the surface where you can see their silhouette?
For that long.
I don't
Not sure.
think so. Yeah, they don't usually like light, do they?
Okay, well, look, I'm mesmerized by it.
Yeah, I'm hyper fixated on it as well. This is the most concrete evidence that Nessie lives among us. We've done it. Finally, it took us until 2007. We can't argue against it. Nessie exists.
It's so good that everything that is in this realm always is very blurry. And then, yeah, you always just are. Like, I can't see your face, Jackson, but you're doing the same thing, right? Like, you're really squinting looking. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I'm trying to contort my vision into a way where it makes sense.
Is that why this field is endlessly fascinating?
Yeah.
Because it makes you squint? Is that all it boils down to?
That and, like, well, I've always said it, but you want to believe at the end of the day. You want to believe. So you want to do whatever you can to trick the logical part of your brain into being like, yeah,
into going into it. Yeah. Totally. There are ones, though, that I'm just not that fussed by whether they exist or not, as like we talked about.
I like Bigfoot.
Yeah, like Bigfoot. It's not that shocking to me.
It's not monumental. Yeah. Nessie, if there was a creature that's like so abjectly different from everything we know, that'd be cool. In 2014, a strange figure was found on the satellite image of the Loch Ness on Apple Maps and only Apple Maps. This image got many excited with the possibility of it being Nessie, but it doesn't really match up with the previous description of the Loch Ness Monster. Instead of appearing like a long-necked dinosaur, it's been noted to look like a giant catfish. It looks more like a what do you call them? The fucking
basking
little
shark.
Stingrays? Yeah, or that, yeah.
Little
if you really
stingrays.
look at, yeah, like a stingray. Can you not see like the little flaps down the back and then like a long tail behind it?
I can see the long tail, but it's the fins.
The fins, yeah. It does look more like a shark of some kind. If you really look at the image, you can see what might be a boat moving around, surrounded by moving water. Many analyzing the image say it looks like the object is underwater due to the low contrast image being blended with a high contrast image without the boat.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yep, now I can totally see that. I think that we can disregard that one.
Yeah. Okay, so it's just Google Maps putting Apple Maps putting two images over the top of each other, blending them together to make it look like one image has the wake and the other has the boat in it, basically. But the boat's just disappeared from the image due to the contrast. Okay.
Yeah, that one's just obviously not Loch Ness.
So, a man was at Doris Beach at Loch Ness when he suddenly saw a large dark object beneath the surface of the water in 2025. It was calm, which allowed the man to get a good look at the object beneath the water for several minutes and captured an image. It was announced by the Loch Ness Museum at the area, and the images were handed over to the Loch Ness Centre as evidence of the sighting. This is from Najina Ishak of the Loch Ness Centre, the general manager.
Center. Wow.
Pretty fucking cool. I'd like to work there.
Quote, doesn't it?
We've had numerous observations over the years, but this recent sighting has been particularly captivating. The conditions on the day of this sighting were absolutely perfect. This could very well be our first significant sighting of the year, further fueling the mystery surrounding Loch Ness and its most famous resident. Nessie has been spotted thousands of times. Oh, wait, so that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so this image is it? The little hump? I mean, that looks more like a otter to me than anything. Like, that's how otters swim through the water, I'm pretty sure.
All right, yeah, I guess we can just go to the conclusion. I'm sick of looking at things in water moving around. I'm sick of it. Like, it's just things. Things. That's all we're looking at. There's nothing ever concrete in it.
Did you come in here like expecting like a one-on-one interview with Loch Ness Monster? Like I surprise you with an actual evidence or proof that he exists?
You know what? Sadly, yes.
Oh,
I was kind of thinking that there would be something here that you could sink your teeth into.
Well, I mean, that GIF, the GIF that we were talking about before, I think, and the boat, the 1960s footage.
And the boat. Yes, that's what we're at. But are you sure that the sonar stuff came up with nothing?
Yeah, it did.
Crap.
I was banking on that, man.
The Loch Ness is particularly deep, isn't it?
I don't know if it's particularly deep. It's about as deep as any other loch.
All right. Well, you know what? The thing that has actually convinced me more than anything on the Loch Ness Monster in your camp, Jackson, the so-called non-believers, I think actually was just the Stuart Lee joke about the Loch Ness Monster. Actually, Jackson, just have a listen to it. It goes for like a minute long. It's on YouTube, and I think it is just the most convincing argument against it.
Against it?
Against the Loch Ness Monster existing.
Okay, give me the link. We'll put it up on screen. I don't really feel like we need proof that it doesn't exist at this point, but okay.
Yeah, no, and it's not proof either. It's just, I think he makes a very compelling argument.
A lot of people think the Loch Ness Monster doesn't exist, don't they, actually? Now, I don't know anything about zoology, biology, geology, geography, marine biology, cryptozoology, evolutionary theory, evolutionary biology, meteorology, limnology, history, herpetology, paleontology, or archaeology. But I think...
So basically we're listening to a lot of people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
It's just like, it's actually a very good fucking point, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's like if you had any training in any of those fields of science, it'd just be, no. Like, it'd just be immediately, I'm sorry. This stuff can't exist. It just can't.
That's why us, you and I, probably the least educated people on the planet, sat here talking about it for 2 hours.
They're talking about it with the, but I think at the end.
Yeah.
There's a longer version of it where he just goes about like, you know, just like, maybe it swims out to the ocean to not get detected by boats when it's shy, and it lives off of mud, you know?
Why not? Nessie has been spotted thousands of times throughout the years, with videos, photos, and hoaxes being riddled throughout the story. What could the Loch Ness Monster actually be? So some believe that Nessie is a surviving plesiosaur from the Jurassic period with a long neck, flippers, a small head, and large body. Unfortunately, it's hard to truly believe this theory, as there is no evidence to suggest plesiosaurs survived into the modern age and will likely survive in the cold Loch Ness. In addition to that, plesiosaurs' necks were likely not strong enough to allow them to lift their heads out of the water in the way that Nessie is depicted as doing. Yeah, so the bones of their necks just would not be strong enough to support the weight of lifting it up.
No, really?
Yeah.
So a plesiosaur never stuck its head out of the water?
No, just because they had long necks doesn't mean that they lifted their heads out of the water.
What was the point of their long neck then?
Fishing.
How does that help? If they go past like into a log or something.
Yeah, exactly. Into tight spaces and things like that. What point would it be for breathing out of the water? Dolphins don't have long necks.
Yeah, but they got a long nose.
Yeah, but you don't need a long neck to breach the waves and breathe out of the water.
So they still do raise their head out of the ocean?
No.
No, not at all. What, so plesiosaurs,
just a little bit.
Plesiosaurs needed oxygen, surely?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they lifted their head out of the water, but they just surfaced. They didn't.
Okay, sort of in the same way that a turtle does.
Yes.
It makes that little sound and goes back down.
Yeah, exactly.
God, what a shit life. I'd hate to do that.
Constantly needing to go up and breathe.
Yeah. Now, if I'm an aquatic animal, I want gills. None of this fucking lung shit.
No halfway in between.
No.
Either I'm on land and I've got lungs, or I'm underwater and I've got gills. That's all I want.
Yeah, exactly.
So add in the fact that the loch is itself only 10,000 years old and there is very little food in the loch that a plesiosaur could eat.
Jesus, yeah.
It's unlikely that there was a dinosaur from 120 million years ago currently residing in the loch. She could, however, be an unknown species of large eel, but eels do not typically have humps that sit above the water or long necks. I mean, they are just
Yes, they
giant.
do. What do you mean? It's just nothing but a head and a neck.
Yeah, it's just a giant
That's
neck.
all an eel is.
It's a swimming neck.
It's a swimming neck.
Or maybe it's a seal or otter, as previously suggested a few times in the document. Both are known to go into the loch, and otters sometimes swim in a line, creating the humps. There we go. That's an interesting theory. Could be I think I said that before. It could be like a bunch of otters swimming together.
Yeah.
However, There is one additional theory
Is
that
it
we haven't
again?
discussed yet, but we
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing our due diligence if we didn't bring it up. That is, of course, the whale penis theory. The whale penis theory suggests, as the name implies, that the original Nessie photograph that we all know to this day is simply nothing more than a floppy whale cock hanging upright out of the watery waves of the loch, saluting the observant bystanders on the shore with the utmost respect. Experts on the matter.
Experts. Whale cock
experts. And we also do have a picture here of a whale penis sticking out of the water.
It's horrific. It's something immediately that you would imagine in like a science fiction horror.
Yeah, it's very alien. But it does look like the Nessie photo, so.
Yeah, I know. But also, like, why does it look like a tentacle?
I don't know. I don't know the science behind whale cock, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Experts on the matter have divided opinions about this theory. A team of experts published a paper in the Archives of Natural History arguing that the sighting could be a large baleen whale and its snake-like penis, as this species of whale is known to rise from the water, if you will, when in a state of arousal. While we can't rule this out, I don't want to look at whale penis for a second longer, and so we will instead opt to pretend like this theory does not exist. And then Kira has ended this document by saying, I hate this show. So, yeah, whale cock theory, kind of interesting, could be.
I guess so. Like,
maybe it's a whale that got lost and went down the loch and then got so horny that it stuck its cock in the air. And then it just left. That would explain why it's never been sighted again. Although, as we know, that photo
but then
is
again, yeah, like,
hoax.
this is silly because if a plesiosaur can't get in there, then surely a whale can't.
A plesiosaur can't get in there because it doesn't fucking exist. It died out 150 million years ago.
There's also that. There's many reasons that a plesiosaur couldn't get into the loch. But a whale, if it still has to go down those little canals with the charming windmills getting powered by them and the bridges over the top of them and the bunch of Scotland guys with the golfer hats walking past. Are whales in the Loch Ness ever?
Ever? I'm sure there's like been one. Like, it's just not their habitat, so they don't routinely go there. But I'm sure potentially there's been one in there at some point, maybe. And then it died there, maybe.
Well,
I don't know.
I've just Googled a lot of pictures of whale penises.
Nice, good job.
They're so long.
Okay,
They're like abnormally large.
You can do that in your own
fair
time.
enough. I can. You're right. As can you at home.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode. You can sign up at official.men for a free 7-day trial to add free early access Red Thread episodes. Your support means the world to us here over at Red Thread. Really does make the show possible. Members can utilize subject question threads to ask questions we'll tackle on the show, like these. First question from Mark. Do you believe that there's more than one Loch Ness Monster or that there is potentially a child of the Loch Ness? I mean, we're struggling to rationalize even one, and this guy's asking if there's like
is there
a
multiple
group of them out there. Yeah, let's just start with one, Mark.
Let's start with one, but also, Mark, I'm very much in your... I mean, you can't have one.
No.
What are we saying that one just could live 200 million years?
Yeah. Ever since
okay. All right, that's more likely that there being multiple. All right, okay.
If there were multiple, we'd be seeing them every single day.
It's true. It's so despairingly true.
Zachary Elliott, do you think Nessie, or any other cryptid, I guess, would be nearly as popular without the presence of the internet? I figure a lot of these would not make it as a cryptid without it. Well, in Nessie's case, as we've gone over in excruciating detail, like it got popular in the 500 ADs. Like it was popular before the internet.
The Loch Ness Monster absolutely would have thrived, I would say, better without the internet and people like Jackson ruining it for everyone.
Exactly, yeah.
I think that the Loch Ness Monster thrived. Its peak was unsolved mystery books that you bought from those catalogs in elementary school.
Yeah, yep. When you couldn't look up additional information,
if you will.
When your idea of the Loch was like, it's this mythical land where laws and rules and reality doesn't exist, and there could be this giant creature that exists in there. And then you look it up on the internet.
It's so much better.
You look it up on the internet, and you immediately feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, it's
agreed.
what Reddit lives for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just smugly debunking something, usually incorrectly, but still they like pretending that they're good at it.
Connor Pin asks, the original photo had such a creepy look to it. I reckon part of the reason it's so iconic is what you don't see and the times it was created in. The black and white really adds to it. Do you guys reckon if it was in color, it would take away a lot of the mystery? Yeah, for sure. I think you would very clearly see it was pink and a whale penis. So it would take a lot of the mystery away from it if we saw the fleshy color. But yeah, I think anything in black and white just looks very interesting to me. Way more interesting.
Way more interesting. Way better. Look, yes, I wholeheartedly agree. I think that there is a color photo of the Loch Ness Monster, though, isn't there?
I mean, yeah, we had the GIF.
No. I mean, like an actual thing of something poking its head out and going. Or is that something else?
You might be thinking of the Australian cryptid that we were talking about the other week, the bunyip or whatever.
It's definitely not that. It's one of them. Well, look, okay, all right. I'm not going to go on the record and say that. Anyway, yes, totally. Yeah, there it is. You Loch Ness Monster sighting. I'm looking at it right fucking now. And honestly, the color helps. The black and white thing is the part that...
sighting.
Yeah, Telegraph, new Loch Ness Monster sighting.
Can you link
Oh, no, it's behind a paywall. Screw that.
All right, never mind.
Look, it exists. Trust me.
We're not paying for it.
No
Lucy
way.
asks, how likely do you think it is that some Scottish drunkard just saw some log sticking out of the water and called it Nessie, and all his mates made fun of him and proceeded to keep building on the story? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, pretty damn likely, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say it's 100% likely. In fact, that's exactly how it happened. It was some drunken story between St. Columba, as he was like, yeah, I scared off the giant beast. I stuck my hands out like a cross and said, "Be gone, foul beast," and it went away. Yeah, and that's how it started. I mean, that's how all good stories start, though.
Totally.
At the pub, a few beers in, seeing what you can get away with.
Yeah. I think most things pretty much do start off as a joke, don't you reckon?
Yeah. Yeah. Just like Red Thread.
Oh, really? Is that the law behind it, is it?
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Incredible.
All right, that's going to do it for this week. I'm going to go right now. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Appreciate it a lot. Even though the Loch Ness Monster might not exist, I sincerely hope that it does. If we find proof that it does, I'll be the first one there cheering and saluting Nessie. As long as it's not a whale penis.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time as always, dear listener. We very much appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that there'll be more whale penises for the future, but yeah, stay tuned to find out.
See you guys.
Bye, everybody.